Good afternoon, class. My name is Francisco, and I'll be giving my commemorative speech on a historical figure named Arthur Morgan. Now, Mr. Morgan lived during the late 1800s. The Wild West era was coming to an end, and that mattered because he was an outlaw. Now, even though he didn't consider himself a very good man, he was, in fact, a very honorable man. And although he did a lot of robbing and killing and running for the law, most of the time he did it for good reasons. So the reason why I chose to be inspired by Arthur Morgan came down really to three things. One, he went through much hardship. Two, he lost many people that he loved and was able to continue. And three, when he found out he was dying, he tried to do his best to go down a path of redemption. So with the first reason, Arthur was an orphan at the age of 15, and he was adopted by two other outlaws, one named Dutch Vanderland and another one named Hosea Matthews. Together, they went on a journey across America, committing various crimes for various gains, while adding more members to the gang. At such a young age, Arthur was struggling to survive, living day by day, never really having a home, always on the run, doing his best to provide for people in the gang around him who began depending on him. He ended up becoming sort of like a big brother figure because one, he was tough, and two, he was pretty strong. So there was a lot of situations where he was able to just muscle his way through and do what needed to be done in order to survive. So the second reason, at a young age, Arthur lost some very important people to him. His father was an outlaw, and although he didn't make it too big, he still was caught up and ended up being executed right in front of him. The amount of emotional trauma that was put on Arthur at such a young age is just unimaginable. His mother passed away from an unknown illness. At the time, many illnesses, they weren't known exactly what they were or how to fight them. So with the lack of medicine and knowledge, that's what led to his mother passing away. Arthur met a woman around the time he was 19, and they ended up having a child together. While he was off doing things with the gang, he would stop by every couple of months and visit, so that way he could somewhat stay in the child's life. Well, one day Arthur came to visit, and he saw two crosses outside of her home. In his gut, he already knew what that meant. When he did a little bit more investigation, he ended up finding out that another outlaw was the cause of death for his girlfriend and the child. So what ended up happening was he was trying to rob her and only ended up getting $10 out of her. The irony and devastation hardened Arthur in a way that he would never forget. And the last reason is Arthur would do a lot of odd jobs in order to provide for his gang. He went to collect a debt for a loan shark from a struggling family. The reason why they were struggling is because they took out a loan with a very high percentage interest rate in order to be able to purchase the land and the house that they live in. The man ended up getting sick, and he had tuberculosis, which was a very deadly disease back then. Because of the sickness, he missed work a lot, so he was unable to work and catch up with the bills that he needed to pay. So he ended up falling behind in the debt. With physical negotiations, Arthur was able to get the debt that he owed from him, which ended up leaving them broke, but at least they were paid up. Because of this encounter, Arthur ended up receiving tuberculosis from the man. The man eventually died, and the family had to pass away, but even though they were no longer in the picture, that still was a lasting effect on Arthur because he got so bad, he needed to go see a doctor. The doctor told him that he was dying, and this was important because now Arthur felt like a sense of relief, and all he had to do for the rest of his life was provide for the people around him. He felt it kind of like a redemption because even though he did so much bad throughout his life, he was able to give back and change the path that he was on. In conclusion, Arthur was not a very good man, but he was a noble man. What was very important about his character was he knew when he was at fault. He knew when he was doing wrong. He was able to forgive and forget. This was very important because not many people could do that. That takes a certain level of maturity and intelligence to be able to get past your faults and still try to do better every day. Thank you for listening to my video. Have a good day.